1964. And he died very young, age 36, of tuberculosis. And so his wife was living here, and keep in mind, they were running a saloon, they were running an inn, they were running a brewery, and they were running a store, and they were running a post office.
There's more to that one too.
Yeah, and so she was doing all of this and raising the kids, one of whom was only a year old.
How many kids?
I have to check, it's 4 or 5, I forget which. I think it was 5, but don't quote me on that. Read the book. but anyway, so they had a friend whose name was also Ernst Janing. Ernst Janing family lived next door, but Ernst wasn't living here. Ernst in 1852 went to California for the gold rush, and he was going to get rich hunting gold out there. Well, he never got rich hunting gold out there, but Liberta remembered him, and he was a friend of the family. So the story goes that she wrote him a letter saying, you know what, you might want to come back here and marry me, because I've got this big place, and you're not married yet. And so, long story short, he came back, and they were married. They had several children, only 2 of whom lived to adulthood. That was a real hard time for little kids. The Klessig family and the Janing family both had lots and lots and lots of children die at childbirth, either in childbirth or very, very, very young. So anyway, Ernst Janing was here for a long time. He ran the brewery. He was very active in the Turner Society. He raised the Klessig kids from Ernst kids. And they were here until, the Klessigs were here until 1911. And then they sold it to a fellow by the name of Charles Brussel. Charles Brussel only had it for 2 or 3 years, and apparently he wasn't a very good farmer. All the businesses had been gone. The brewery closed in like 1882, the inn closed, the store closed a long time before that. So in 1911, the only thing going was the farm. And so Charles Brussel bought it with his wife Mary, and they lived here for about 2 or 3 years, tried to make a go of it, were underfinanced, same story back then as now, if you don't have enough money, you're underfinanced. They defaulted on the loan. The guy that held the loan repossessed it, and he held it for a few months, and he sold it to Dennis's grandfather, Art. And then Art's family had it from 1911 until 1947. And in 1947, Art sold it to a fellow by the name of Shorty Landbetter. And he lived here until he died. He died in the 80s. I don't remember the exact year. But it was in the family, the Landbetter family, until about 1995. And they sold it to a couple from Illinois who wanted to renovate it and restore it and take it back to its original. And so we don't know whether they actually lived here or not, but they held it for about 2 years and discovered that it was way beyond their ability financially or physically to do. And so it was up for sale, and that's when the Friends of Saxonia House put a bid in. Actually, the Klessig family put a bid in on it, and they bought it, and then a couple of years later, the Friends of Saxonia House assumed the ownership. And
Taking a bunch of books for the table.
Sure.
She's out.
Oh wow! I've got another box in the car. If you need it.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the long and short of it. So we've had it since.
When did it start going down? I mean.
What do you mean downhill?
When did it start deteriorating?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, over the years, it used to, as you see there was an L-shaped extension on the outside on this model here. The L-shaped extension, we think, lasted until about 1920 something. And then the story has it, no facts, story, that there was a fire in it, and the damage was not total, but it would have cost more to fix it than it was worth. And nobody was using it for anything. And if you look at pictures from the late 1800s, early 1900s, the whole place looks pretty dilapidated. Even the house was starting to look dilapidated. But it still held out, and Dennis was here as a kid, and it was just a regular house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he used to ride his tricycle around the empty rooms here on the first floor.
Right.
And so I would say in 1964, it started changing because the folks that had it wanted modern conveniences, picture window, patio doors, bathroom, and this was converted into an apartment over here in the front. So it was apartment at the end.
Oh, yes.
And a lady who is the granddaughter of Shorty Landvetter was just here a little while ago, and she says she was the last. She said she was the last resident in the house. So, and that would have been the 90s, 95.
How much are your books?
I think they're 15.
Okay.
And
Who do I pay?
you pay the lady in the red tent, but I can sign it for you if you like.
I would love it.
Okay.
Oh,